What is up, y'all? And welcome back to another episode of the Girl Gangs podcast. I'm Amber P.
I'm Alexis Nicole.
And it's been a minute. Y'all make sure to let me know every time you saw me at national championships in Texas that we have not put out an episode. And I just felt the Lord's conviction. And I was like, okay, we are going to give the girlies an episode. So sorry, y'all.
It's difficult to get our schedules to line up, or even there's so many important moving parts. Not that the podcast is not important, but there are additional important things. So then, all the things, it's 10 days have gone by.
Yeah. And then I in holidays. So that, makes things very, very difficult. So we're going to make it our mission 2025 to make sure that we are ahead of the game with pre-recording and all the things. So we're going to just go ahead and jump into it. We're going to do a good old Girl Gangs Q&A. Starting off with the first question. Is getting my steps in and my cardio minutes the same thing or two different things?
So it depends on how your coach is counting it.
Yeah.
If they want it to be separate and you're combining them, you are doing a significantly less amount of movement. If they are typically, if they're combining it, they really just, the step count is just to make sure that you're moving outside of the cardio. Not as much of a specific situation. Because let's say you're doing elliptical for cardio, and you guys know that depending on how well you've slept, depending on how much caffeine you've had that morning, really determines where your heart rate is. And most people measure heart rate to indicate their cardio intensity. So if you've had a bunch of cardio or a bunch of caffeine and you can get your heart rate into the range easier, you slept well the night before, everything's firing easier, you're probably going to take less steps because your body's responding better. So it can get your heart rate up to a better range with less effort, quote unquote, but you're still going to get the same response because you're still in that heart rate zone. But I noticed this for myself when I was nursing and doing cardio at 4:00 in the morning. When your body is very run down, it's going to make it harder for you to exert more energy. So it makes the cardio feel more intense, even if your heart rate's still 102 rather than whatever you're shooting for, 120, 130. So in those instances, you're going to have to work harder, get more steps. This could be a little fun experiment for you to compare those, cardio on a work day versus cardio on the weekend. Typically, you're going to get more out of less time on the weekend. When you're more rested, you're more recovered, your body can respond more efficiently. So I know for me, mine was in addition to with Nelson, because I had such strange variables every day. I couldn't tell you and promise to be fully rested every day. It was impossible. So it was okay, well, we'll control the variables that we can. We need to do this X amount of cardio. We need to get this X amount of steps in addition. And that's what I was prescribed. Now, with a different coach and a different lifestyle, I don't have a step count at all. So I would defer that to your coach. If you are not with a coach, then you just need to be doing the same thing consistently every day.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I have never had a step count goal, but also you got to take in consideration just different lifestyles. I stand, so I'm always on my feet moving around. So a step count was never so much of a thing for me. However, I can see where if you have a job where you're sedentary, that makes sense to me because you just want to make sure that you're getting up and moving your body around. And it's the same thing. I know for me, when I am getting deeper into prep and I am a little bit more tired and my body doesn't want to move as much, that's when I'll start to really pay attention to my steps because I'll find, okay, well, if I even have 3 minutes of downtime, I want to sit down because my body is just tired. So that's when I kind of really start looking at it. But for me, I've never been a step count girly, but again, it's just due to lifestyle. But your coach, that's something that your coach has to decide. But I definitely think if you have a sedentary job, yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't have a step count, but I'm still conscious about my movement. So
Absolutely.
like there's some days where I'm like doing a bunch of computer work and just kind of taking a rest day. I'm not going to the gym to train. I'm just moving less.
Mhm.
So I'll be conscious to take Callie on an extra walk or something. Like your step count doesn't need to be intense cardio. It's truly just movement. So like that's some rest days because rest days are typically the days that I have less movement. Um, but then other rest days where I've like saved things to do on those rest days, I'm running errands, I'm cleaning the house, I'm way above what I'm like
Yeah.
generally shooting for. So, and some people will average it out across a week.
Mhm.
I have a couple clients that like I struggle with them staying still just because of their lifestyle. I have a client that's in the UK that's like, oh, stop walking, like
Yeah.
take the
Yeah.
trolley thing or
If you
whatever.
live in the city, absolutely. Can you
Yeah,
imagine
so I'm
living in
like,
New York
some
City?
days, like some days it's just going to be astronomical.
Yeah.
So then be conscious the next day that like you've moved a lot, and what while it wasn't cardio, it was still a lot of movement and wear and tear on your body. So like those clients, I have them average it in kind of a week time frame, or it's like this day I went crazy over, but the other days I stuck to it, and I'm like, okay, so like on average we were only over by not a ton. But if we have every day that's crazy, then we have to play with variables.
Right. I'm always amazed at my step count when I'm at a show and working, and I always like clockwork get in trouble when I check in after because it's just like my variables are all screwed up. It's like I haven't slept. I've moved probably like double the amount because I mean, if I've been up since 3 a.m., then yeah, from 3 a.m. all the way to when I lay down, I've moved my body a lot. So then it's just kind of like, okay, well, now I need to, it's just, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's
it was cool in Prague because like I said, having um I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Getting the car out was not easy. So it was more efficient really just to walk everywhere. I totally get why those people just walk everywhere. Or if it's a super long distance, you use an Uber or something or like the public transportation. So I got it. It was easy, but then it was like you didn't realize how much movement you did until like towards the end of the day where it's like I'm at 25,000 steps and
Right.
usually I'm at like 8 or 10. So 3 days of that in a row, my feet hurt.
Dude, yes, absolutely. I've been,
Also, talking about feet, I know that these shoes have been trending a while and I'm old and like late to the party, but the New Balance 9060s are my favorite walking shoe.
okay, so that's what I need to get. I was literally getting ready to say I have been struggling with my feet hurting because when I'm working at Sephora, like it's not like when I was in salon where if I have like a color processing, I can go sit down. I'm standing up from the time I get there at 11 to the time I leave at 6:30 or 7. And so 3 days in a row of that, my feet are worked.
Yeah, it's like it's perfect support, but they're not narrow like Nikes.
Uh-huh.
So like I think what helps is there's enough room that when you walk and your feet swell a little bit, they
Yeah.
don't start to hurt. Like the not like my feet really didn't hurt in Europe until they weren't ever like
Oh.
balloons. Um they weren't ever like after a hospital work day, but
Mhm.
it was like, when you take your shoes off at the end of the day and you're like, huh, I did a lot of walking. It was
Yeah.
just like that. But it was not like when we've been walking for 8 hours just exploring and I'm like, all right, we need to go back because my feet are starting to hurt. Like that never occurred. And because of that experience, I'm like, I want all the colors. Like yesterday we walked around the mall and I was like, it's kind of a fun game too because every store has different colorways. Like there's a million colorways of them. So it's like we were in the first store and Martin was like, "Do they have the ones that you like?" And I was like, "No, but it's like this is the hunt. So let's go into every store." So then finally I found a store that didn't have what I wanted but had something I liked better. And I was like, "These are it. Like I love these."
What was it called again? New Balance what?
9060.
90/60. Perfect. Because and then like the tile floor at Sephora ain't helping me. What
No. So
it's more so that.
in my condo here in Florida, you know, all the floors cart. Um,
Okay.
I started putting those shoes on once, like towards the end of prep, when your legs just ache. I like would put them on when I was cleaning or cooking and stuff because I like needed
Yeah.
support, and they helped.
And that's how I felt. I felt like I had prep legs. I'm like, okay, we just really got started here. And then I realized it's like, it's the freaking tile floor that's tearing
Yeah,
me up.
it's like standing on concrete.
Yes, it's tough. Okay, suit colors, do they matter? What has been your fave? It absolutely matters. 100%. It
What's not my favorite right now is freaking red and wellness. And that is coming from someone who won her pro card in red, who has I have worn red on stage a couple times, and why have I not worn it in the last what 2 years, y'all? Because everyone's wearing it, and it's like I think a suit color should be a happy medium between what makes you happy and what looks good on you, heavier on the what looks good on you. So not in the middle of those two. Like it shouldn't be a color that you despise, but it's more important for to how it looks on stage than what your favorite color is, for sure. And I like red. You guys know, like my grandma loved red and told me I would win my pro card if I wore red, and then told me I would win my pro show if I wore red, and she was right. But it's a sea of red at this point, and I'm sorry, but everyone doesn't look good in red. It's not everybody's color. And everyone doesn't look good in green, everyone doesn't look good in blue. Like you can't copy your favorite pro or your favorite competitor or your favorite that look because they look different under every stage light anyway. So that's my little spiel on red.
yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. You guys really got to take in consideration the whole package. And shameless plug here, I'm doing like the full on like suit and hair color consultations. You guys can go to my Instagram, hit the link, and you can book a consultation with me. But whenever you're picking your suit color, you need to consider how your skin is going to look with a tan. You need to consider what your hair color is, and then also just like your natural skin undertone, which yes, you have a tan, but you still have your undertone. So sometimes like girls will pick things and it just looks off because maybe it's the hair color or it's just not right for your
I was
undertone.
gonna say the hair color is really important too. Like, if you have an extreme hair color, you cannot also have an extreme color suit. It does not look good, especially on stage, because the lights will only emphasize those colors.
Yes.
So, like, when I'm saying extreme, I'm not talking blue or purple hair. I'm talking bleach blonde, jet black. You cannot be wearing, or you should not. You can do whatever you want. You have free will. You can't It's not going to look good if you have bleach blonde hair that's gonna then look yellow under the stage lights with a vibrant red suit. It looks bad. It looks bad. If you're
Yeah.
my client, you know I've told you, if that's your case, to stay away from red. Like, or if you have jet black hair, a black suit ain't it either.
Don't
Or really anything super vibrant, because
go dark.
it's gonna contrast too much. Like a bright blue, a Kelly green is not your color if you have jet black hair. So you have to find, like, those color hues could be okay, but it has to be a deeper version. In my opinion, Amber's the color expert, but I feel like a deeper blue goes with a extreme hair color. Or if you are dead set on red, it needs to be like cranberry merlot
Yes.
rather than like red red.
Yeah, absolutely. It matters so much. Like this is something Sierra Swan, she's one of my friends. I work with her and she's a fair-skinned girl and I feel like at one point all the girls were like, "Oh, well, you only do well if you have dark hair." And it's like, not too much on that. So I just base straight up told her and I started coloring her hair like, "You are fair-skinned, your hair it was black." I told her, I was like, "Your hair is darker than mine. That does not look good." So that pops off harsh. So if you have fair skin naturally, right, then you've got this dark hair, and then you've got this dark like it's too much. Like you need
Yes.
to have some
And I
dimension.
want to point out that, like, I totally get from the amateur, super amateur, never done a show aspect. All you have to look at is what's doing well.
Right.
What is the example? So, like at the Olympia level, there have been many years where the top 4 or 5 are in the same color.
Mhm.
Quotes around that because it's never the same suit.
No.
One year, the year before I competed, it was teal.
Mm.
And it for bikini. So y'all, if you don't remember teal, that's how old we are.
Yeah,
Because like teal is starting to make its way back
I
here and
love
there. It's like getting dribbled in.
I like that.
Um, I will get those comments like to question boxes when I throw up what color suit should I wear. People are like, "You would look great in teal." And I'm like, "I've actually done that. It's just been a minute and you haven't seen it."
You don't remember. I looked different.
But everybody's color was different. Some were more green, some were more blue. They weren't the same color. It just was the same color family. So
Yeah.
that's where we start talking about like the specifics matter. They're all teal and they're all different.
Mhm.
Or the case, in my opinion, in wellness, you guys know that the top wellness girls are still Brazilian. They have a very specific color on their skin. So that is why they look good in red. It's not because red suits win, it's because they look good in red. So they're choosing the color that looks best on them, and they're all consistently the same color tone. You know who wasn't in red? Elisa. She ain't yellow like everybody else. So she's not in red. What color was she?
It's a book.
Purple?
Yeah.
I think it was purple this year or green.
Yeah.
She's done those colors. She
Yeah.
has done red. And if you look back, in my opinion, the red was not the best color that she's worn, which was a good idea to change it up at the Olympia, and she looked phenomenal. You want something that's gonna complement yourself and not be what people are looking at.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, it might be an unpopular opinion. This is just like my geeky color brain. I personally feel red looks better if you already have a little bit of melanin on you personally. And the reason being is just simply, and I'm not saying that fair skinned girls can't do it, you can, but I know for fair skinned girls, it's harder to tan. So it's like you're playing a very risky game when you
And
start.
then I feel like the fair skinned girls who do red, the red ends up blending with the tan because of how the tan contrasts with your skin and how it develops on your skin and the way that the color looks on top of the color that you are. Um, you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that because the tans aren't red.
No.
But for some reason, under the lights, the color hues, like the brown and the red, tend to match too much. I feel like on me, when I'm tan, I get more golden than brown.
Mhm.
And when I was brown, like liquid sun rays made me much more rich brown and red looked good. But when I did Protan, I wore Protan at
Oh.
the show that I like qualified for my first Olympia, the Samson Showdown.
Mm.
Um, that one I was Protan, so I was more golden, and it didn't look as good. That's the last time that I wore red.
Yeah.
So that comes with experience, and you can't necessarily predict what you're going to look like your
Mhm.
first show. But in which case, it's best to go with a safe color.
Mhm.
If you are fair skinned, red's probably not the best idea for your first show.
Yeah. My very first show, I did a red suit and I knew absolutely nothing. And the red, like it looked fine on my natural skin tone, but then by the time I got sprayed with Protan, I was like, "Ooh, okay." It was like a blood, like there was no contrast. It was just a
Yes.
hot, hot
So, like,
mess.
you need to think of your skin like if it looks good on your natural skin, it's probably not going to look good when you get a tan.
Yeah.
Because when I did my blue, so Krista surprised me with the blue at the beginning of the season. I planned red, and then the backdrop on every friggin' show was red. So she was like, "Here's another suit just in case," and we ended up going with blue. But when I put it on and I sent it to Amber, initially I was like, "No," because it was so much contrast
Yeah.
with my skin.
Like, hold on.
But then she was like, "No, I think it's going to look great with a tan." And then I had to think, and I was like, "Okay, yes, I'm not going to be this color on stage." And once I'm deeper, I do think it's going to look good. And it translated very well. Um, so I think, like, as a general rule, because I know a lot of companies will send you swatches so that you can put it against your skin. It doesn't need to look good on your clean skin. It
Yeah.
needs to look good. Like, how many shades darker do you think people typically get for stage?
It it varies. I think fair skin girlies, like are really fair, probably about 3. And then once you start getting into like that medium, probably 2, and then 1.5 for us darker. It just depends. I got scared when I put my new suit on because I was like, oh crap. And then I had to remember, I was like, no, when you have your tan on, this is going to really, really pop. And again, we've been doing this for a long time. Like Alexis had that with her blue suit. I had that with mine. But my rule of thumb is always fair girls plan to be 3 shades darker. Anyone that's not light to medium tan, 1 to 1.5, dark deep, a half shade, maybe just
I
depends.
remember when Amber and I did Junior USA together.
Somebody this at nationals.
This is something I had never conceptualized because I only knew tans for myself. So like I'd go in, like they'd spray me front back. They'd look at me, spray me front back, and then I'd get out. Amber and I go in the tent the same time. She's like, poop, poop, out. I'm like, I still have to go around again. And she's drying and getting dressed, and I'm still getting sprayed. And I was like, what the heck? And then afterwards, she was like, I'm darker than you, Alexis. I don't have to get as dark. I was like, oh, you're
Yeah,
starting ahead.
base coat, baby. We straight.
So, yes, if you are dark skinned, you still need to get a tan,
Yeah.
but you're not going to change color as drastically as I am.
No, yeah, and I think that's a hard thing for a lot of black athletes to wrap their heads around when they first start. Like, well, I'm black, I don't need a tan. It's just like you know, you're gonna look absolutely insane if you get on stage and you do
If
not
nothing else, like,
have
I think, like, I don't think Samson probably just gets one wipe down,
right.
but it's like it gives your skin a texture to reflect from the lights and gives everything an even
Mhm.
surface. So if you are African and dark, you still need like a, but it's
Yeah.
going to be real fast and you don't have to deal with the sticky that I deal with.
No, it may think of it as like okay, if you're deep dark chocolate Godiva queen, okay, think of it like this. It's going to literally be like a tinted moisturizer on your skin, right? It's going to just make everything nice and even. So if you have like any scarring or stretch marks, everything is just going to be smoothed out, buffed in, beautiful, and then your muscle bellies are going to pop. It's going to look insane. And if you have the right suit color, good Lord, you're going to look absolutely insane on stage. So it's a must. You got to do it. And KH Customs for your suits.
Yes.
Let's see, what shows will you be at for meet and greet in 2025? You have a meet and greet?
Ask Martin.
DM Martin for that. Alexis doesn't know where she is. He
I
has
know. I don't know about meet and greets. I will be in attendance at the Arnold. I'll be helping Amber, and then I don't know if I can say her name, but my friend's competing. Um, I thought, and then we'll have a couple like posing clients as well. And then before that, there's a posing clinic in January in Detroit. Um,
oh yeah, that one.
Footwear is putting it on. Martin and I are leading it. So if you're bikini or wellness, or Martin really knows all the men's divisions, um, come to that. It's free for it's on my page. I think it's January 28th, but don't quote me. Because I saw the post and I was like, oh, guess I'm going to that. That's why I said ask Martin. um, but it's free for NPC competitors that are registered for that show to compete. And then I think there's a fee for anyone else. He hasn't released the fee yet, so that's a FUAD thing that he'll have to. I'm literally just going and teaching and hanging out with you guys.
Keep going.
But Yes, it's open to everyone. It's free if you are planning to compete at the Detroit Pro, which I think the date for that is April.
Mhm. Yeah. We'll be at the Arnold, we'll be out there walking around.
I'll be at the Pittsburgh, not competing.
Yeah, same.
Um,
I think
Probably New York.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think I wanna go watch New York for sure. Yeah, so I'll probably plan to go watch New York, and then Alexis will probably show up to whatever show I compete at, so you can catch
Oh
her
yeah,
there.
yeah.
We would catch her there.
I'm
Um,
gonna wash Amber's brushes while she does her own makeup at her show because that's my job.
I told you I'm retiring. Alexis is gonna take over. She's gonna do all the glam. Bye. Let's see. How to not be nasty between cardios, workouts, my job, etc. No time to shower. Is it just me, especially my hair? Girl, we okay.
Oh,
Let's
like physically nasty.
yeah. That's why I was like, that caught me off guard. It's like,
Nah.
you know,
Sometimes you're a little bit sweaty when you go to your next thing.
is yeah. Like if like I'm not going to work sweaty. That's not happening.
No, 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 no. Um,
We're not doing that. Um,
so like so when I was traveling, you guys know that like one of my travel jobs, I had to wake up at like 2 a.m. to train before work because training after work was not a real reality. So it was kind of a pain in my tail, but I had my work bag, my gym bag, and then my shower bag, and I would shower at the gym. So be strategic on what gym I guess you have a membership at. Hopefully they have a shower. Most gyms do. Some bodybuilding gyms don't because they're like warehouse style. Um, and have a bag with like minimal requirements to shower. A towel, some soap, some flip flops,
yeah.
and maybe something to scrub yourself with. Honestly, I used my hand because putting a wet washcloth back in my bag was not something I wanted to do. Um, and I was a no makeup kind of girly at work. So I don't know what your jobs are if you have to wear makeup. I'm thinking like time crunch wise, bring it down to like eyebrows and mascara and some lip gloss.
For real.
Um, that's my tip on that. But like going from working 12 hours to if I had something afterwards, there was not another shower.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep it a buck. Y'all know I'm a hygiene freak. So I'll mess around with hygiene. If I'm working out and I have to go to work or something, we are showering. That is not an option. Even to the point where for me, I'm a sweaty girl, okay? And let's get personal. Feminine hygiene, okay? I sweat. If I have to wear a very particular type of panty, we got to do cotton. And so after a workout, and again, this might be extra for some, but because I'm so wet, I'm typically sitting in traffic. I live in a city. I have a change of underwear and clothes. So I will take those clothes off. If I'm going straight home, I'm not going to shower, but I'm going to take these clothes off and I'm going to put dry clothes on because if I'm just sitting in my sweat like that, like that's not good for me and my body and just like vaginal health. I keep vag wipes in my gym bag. I keep makeup wipes. I keep deodorant. I keep the spray deodorant because sometimes a girl's like, oh crap, I don't have anything. And I'm not going to let you like take the deodorant stick and put it under your pits, but I keep it. I can help a sister out. I'm all about it. If I do have to shower, I'm just always thinking with I have a loofah or a washcloth. I just put it in a Ziploc bag so that way it's not getting wet on anything else. Like and I know a lot of it too is just because like I get it. I'm in the beauty industry and then I'm so conscious because I stand over people for a
Yeah.
living. You know what I mean? So just like my oral hygiene, all the things. But
So
yeah, no,
that's why I was very particular about it too, because I'm like, there's in nursing, especially in OB, there's already so much happening. You don't need me stinky leaning over you trying to help you turn. Like,
yeah, like, we don't want any of
but like
that.
some people are not sweaty people.
Yes.
So, like, Olivia barely sweats at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. I don't know what she does and what her practices are, but I could also tell you that you wouldn't know if she just trained because after the gym session, she looks like
She's
pristine, and I look like a wet rat.
right. Like wet, wet, wet. For hair, Dry shampoo is your best friend. I know sometimes you might not have time to wash your hair, so at bare minimum, like just hit your hair with the dryer, like the roots to try to like refluff. Dry shampoo, girl, slick back bun. You know, if your hair is long, like it's got to be an updo. Like don't worry about it. But like bare minimum, like if you got to go to work, like at least wash your body. I mean, even if you got to do a hoe bath, I don't know, just like make sure, like
Like,
yeah, girl, let's just clean it up because we can't be out here nasty. And it's not good for your skin. Let's see. How to handle coming out of first national show, especially if you didn't place well. Feel how you feel. Okay. It's okay. And I had this conversation with Candy after Junior USA's last year, and I always say it after national shows, you are not ungrateful because you're not happy with your placing. You care, you work hard. In fact, I think it's healthy to be a little bit upset if you didn't maybe place as well as you did. But at the same time, you have to take that and you have to allow that to motivate you. So feel how you feel, let it be a moment. Don't sulk in it. Don't trash talk anybody because at the end of the day, it's over. Your placing is your placing, but you have to find a way to take that and just let it motivate you to work harder because at the end of the day, everyone's going to catch the L at some point. Like if you did not win, you lost. And that's not to sound harsh. That's not to sound like, oh, Amber, that's hardcore. But if you are in this and you're playing to win, understand that there's levels to this. Like if you're just competing for fun, cool. But if you were competing to become a pro, understand if you did not win, you lost. That is okay. You're going to catch the L more than you win, but you have to keep moving forward.
yeah. So, what works personally for me is to focus on the things that I can do.
Mhm.
I like tasks. So it's like, okay, well, what did I fall short on that I can improve? And then I start doing things to improve those areas. Because I had the same feeling after the Olympia, and like to reiterate, you can be upset and still like I was very grateful that I got to compete at the Olympia at all,
Yeah.
but I was still bummed that I didn't even make the top 10 and didn't get to go to finals. Like, that was a sucky feeling. It was the first time I'd been in the second call out. It was the first time that I had fallen short of a general goal. I felt like up until that point, I made very realistic goals for myself that if I worked hard enough and did the things I was supposed to, I could reach them. And I fell way lower than I thought I was going to for what I was shooting for. So I was like, this sucks. But it would have kept sucking more if I just like wallowed in it and didn't continue. It's like at this point you have a decision of do you want to be better than the package that you just brought? And if so, what are you going to do to make that happen? And if you don't want to, if it hurts so bad that you realize that you don't actually love doing this sport, which is the work is the sport. You don't like it and that's okay too. Like just decide how like let yourself feel, decide how you feel, but don't have actions that dig you into a hole before you've even felt the feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. For someone just starting, is it better to have a coach locally or online? Pros versus cons. I it doesn't matter. I do feel that here's the thing. A lot of y'all put so much weight and emphasis on your coach, which a good coach is important. But at the end of the day, if you're not executing what your coach says, you're not going to get anywhere. A lot of people expect coaches to hold your hand, and no, it's not that. And I feel that some people think they need to have a coach local for that is because they don't understand like what an online bodybuilding coach is, and they want someone to just hold their hand the entire time, and that's
Yeah.
not what it
So
is.
I've had girls reach out and say like I'm looking for a local coach.
Yeah.
And my question is why? What do you think a local coach is going to do for you? Because bodybuilding is not an in-person sport. You don't in like most good bodybuilding coaches do not personal train.
Mhm.
they tend to start out that way because you need to supplement your income somehow. But like they don't personal train all of their athletes. They write a training program and you must train. And that's there are very different things. So like you guys know that my first coach Nelson was local to me, and I definitely enjoyed it felt like a mental safety net, and it helped me, severely helped me one time when I did that crazy Arnold prep,
Yeah.
when he could come and see me every single day.
Yeah.
Um, in any other situation, I probably would have had to send a coach like Stefan videos after every meal,
Hmm.
which would have been extremely hard to execute while working in a hospital. But that really did save the day, that one time. As
Yes.
an amateur, you do not need an in-person coach. You do not like unless you need, in addition to your online coach, a personal trainer. Because again, most bodybuilding coaches do not personal train. So if your personal trainer says, I can prep you for a show, no, they cannot. And if your personal trainer doing this, I'm sorry, but 9 times out of 10, they do not have the experience in the bodybuilding realm that is necessary. Personal training and coaching are two very different things.
Personal trainers, you know the exercises, but you don't understand that this bikini
You also need to know the science of bodybuilding.
right, this bikini competitor probably doesn't need to be doing all these crazy compound lifts if she's already built the house. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like she
It
just
needs to be very specific. Like
very specific.
typically personal training is teaching form, teaching exercises, teaching intensity, teaching you how to gauge those things as you become more experienced in training.
Mhm.
Um, bodybuilding takes an eye to see each physique specifically for the criteria.
Yeah.
That is why most very high level coaches um, tend to specialize in certain areas. They do muscle divisions. There are bikini teams for a reason. Bikini is very individualized. Like it's almost its own little realm of bodybuilding because it's so specific to how you need to peak, how you need to grow muscle, how you need to sculpt rather than just put on as much mass as possible. Um Really my opinion, the like boss is an insane coach because he has elite athletes in every division, which is unheard of. But in my opinion, it's also because he's autistic. And
Yeah.
bodybuilding is one of the things that he just really focuses on.
In different countries. That's nuts.
Yeah. And it's just like most people cannot do that. And there's a reason for it. Like you the different bodybuilding divisions are extremely different from each other, especially women's bodybuilding down to wellness or bikini. Like they're different.
Yeah.
So to have someone say, yes, I specialize in all of them is rare. To then specialize in personal training and in bodybuilding coaching is rare. And I'm probably going to hurt some feelings for the people listening to this, but it's the truth. Coming from almost 7 years of experience in this sport, from a coaching side and from an athlete side, it's extremely uncommon to have the same level skill in both of those arenas. They're specialties, in my opinion, and you specialize more on one side versus the other.
100%. Like you just gotta, you have, it's okay. You gotta know where you're at. Like my first coach, she was local to me. She lived around the corner from me. I only saw her when she came in to get her hair done.
So like it can be like it can make you feel good in person or to have them you have the option of seeing them in person,
Yeah.
but if you're doing bodybuilding right, you don't really need to see them in person.
Because yeah, like I was
And
still,
you don't need to message them every day.
God, no. No, yeah, I think a lot of y'all are just scared and you want someone to hold your hand. And if you need help training, that's fine. Get a personal trainer. Your coach does not.
Or like some coaches, like I what I do with my girls, especially when they first start, I have them send me videos of their top sets because I do want to see the form. I want to make sure you're not just slinging weight. But then once you have the form and you're starting to learn the intensity, you're not sending me videos every week because I don't like that is part of the bodybuilding journey. So yes, we need to assess it periodically, but your coach is not there to put you through every exercise.
Yeah. And then also, I think this is something that, like, I know why I'm so passionate about it is because I've had to I train around injuries and hip glitches and things, but a lot of y'all need to get in there and freaking figure it out. Figure out your body. Like stop looking at what Laura Lee is doing. Is she great? Yes. However, comma, do you need to be training like her? Probably not, sweetheart.
The
Figure out
most
your
common question in those question boxes that I post is, "What's your training split?"
doesn't
And
matter.
y'all, at this point, my training split is not appropriate for amateurs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't train my upper body at all. Most people starting out need to grow some shoulders. So,
Absolutely.
like, especially high level athletes, it can be motivating to see their training. It can
Yeah.
be motivating to see their intensity, but the specifics, you have to start from the level that you're at and build upon that.
Yeah, I don't even like sharing my training just simply because like my training is boring. Like I'm a bikini girly, like through and through. Like I'm not growing upper body. It's like get a little shoulder pump, glutes. Like there's nothing groundbreaking to see here. Like I'm all about mind muscle connection, time under tension. Like am I contracting muscle? Like that. If
And
there's
like,
nothing interesting,
it's an individual sport, which also leads to, we tend to find things that work for us, and like once you get into something that you find is working for your physique, I'm personally not willing to change mine.
me neither.
So when I get DMs that are like, "When can we train together?" It's usually we can't,
Can't.
or it's gonna take forever for our schedules to line up because
Yeah.
I'm not changing mine,
No.
and you really shouldn't be changing yours if it's working for you. So
Can,
mm,
can we talk about that, please? Because that's one thing that I experienced that drove me absolutely crazy with clients. When's my training going to change?
yeah, I'm like, you're growing and we're not changing it. If it's boring, you need to add some weight or you need to make
Yeah.
the reps harder.
Because I'm like 5 years in, I can't think of a time where I was bored in the gym. I could think of a time where I was like, I don't want to effing do this. Absolutely. I got a bad attitude. But as far as me being bored in the gym, I've had days where my mind is wandering because, like, whatever, but like, just, but I'm like, no, like, your training's not changing. Stick with it.
Yeah. And that's a learning curve too. Like you have to figure that out too. But a new training split every 6 to 8 weeks is what lots of people like to do.
Yeah.
Not on this side. And
No,
not any, not, the majority of coaches are not doing that.
you're not doing that. Like, the only
And
thing
and high level athletes are not doing that.
no, absolutely not. Like the only thing that will change for me, like in prep, like once I start getting really close, I might have to lower the weight in some things, but I still try to like maintain as close as I can. But outside of that, I'm like, I know what works. I'm not going outside of that. This is what has, just no, no point. Let me see how much longer. Okay, we'll do a couple more. We did color. Ooh, this is good. Biggest common mistakes you saw at nationals this year if y'all were there. Go ahead, Alexis.
I mean, posing frustrated me.
It's a lot,
Um,
y'all.
there were some posing where I'm like, this is going good, this is going good. And then you get into the walk to the back, and I'm like, did we forget that they do this? Because if you're on the national stage, you've been on a stage before. And granted, some people go from regional shows straight to national shows. Most people should not be doing that. So it might be your second, and maybe you haven't had that experience. But if you are on a national stage, you should have had some formal training.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I've had coaching, like I tweak my posing for the most part myself, but I've still had help. Ivana helped me for the Olympia. Amber's looked over it. I've had Olivia look over it. Jazzy's helped me in the past. You should have someone looking over things. One, get out of your ego because someone more experienced probably has advice. You're probably not doing everything perfect. Nobody's ever doing everything perfect.
You see,
The world of bodybuilding, you can always improve.
yeah, you can coach.
Um, but it was so frustrating to me when I would also see physiques that just didn't pay anyone to help them. didn't reach out to a friend, phone anybody. Their coach didn't focus on their posing at all, or their coach gave them bad advice and they considered that appropriate. Um, and then it's like, this is such a great physique, and you're not going to win today because you can't show your physique. Like, I can see the potential of it, but the way you're posing it is not appropriate for the division. So, too bad.
The thing that I saw the most, and this is coming with love. This is like, hey sis, I want you to be great. For my wellness girlies, I want y'all to stop focusing on all the glitz and the glam and all the hand flying. Focus on nailing your pose. That's what I want. Because
Especially at the regional level and like national level, the amateur level as a whole,
yeah.
it is easy at a national show to be overlooked. And the best way to be overlooked is to have no stage presence at all. Oh, um, or to be up there way too long.
And I saw a lot of that. Just
If you
wait.
were up there like flapping your arms around, spins and doodads and extras, if that was you, it was you. If you felt that the judges were not looking at you, because if you are doing way too much extra, they're just going to start judging. And I've had girls say, like, the judges weren't even watching my routine. Girls, because you were doing too much.
Yeah.
Or you weren't in shape. It's one or the other, because they have to judge hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So, and you imagine if you're in a situation where you have to do something that's redundant, you're going to start picking and choosing. And that is human nature. I'm not a judge. I don't know. A judge might give you a different little lecture, but I can tell you I've judged pageants, and that I consider them very similar. And you have to have favorites. Those first looks that you come out, especially like at nationals, they did it where you come out in groups and then you come out and do your routine and then you come out for comparisons. That first look, they're making judgment calls. They're writing down their first
Already
call out.
clocked you. They've already clocked you. Just
Yes.
that
So
instant.
if you come out because like you're super nervous, this is why I say do a couple regional shows before you do a national show, especially if you don't have stage experience. You need the stage experience. It matters. So if you come out shy and timid and there's 30 girls in your class, good luck. You, like I tell my girls, be whoever you need to be, but I need you to be present and I need you to tell the judges that you are in the first call out. Because if you don't tell them, someone else is, and that's something that you can control. So if you are a shy and timid person, but you're getting on stage and you want to do well, be Beyonce, be somebody else.
Yeah.
You have to turn it on if that's not your natural. That's me. I like to be center of attention. I like to prance around in bikini and heels and show you, oh my god. But if that's not you, you have to figure out a way to embrace that kind of energy, if nothing else, because it's a performance, especially in bikini and wellness.
Yeah. And for the girls, at least for if that's not you, hey, I'm with you. That's not me either. But I think when you look at me on stage, you would
She's
never know
like,
that's not me. Because you know why? Because I'm like,
at her at Lama, I was like, ah!
well, you got to turn
What
it
are
on.
we doing today?
Yeah.
That's the Amber
You're
that I
all
know. But like in a group setting, that is not what she's doing. So how's
right.
she doing it on stage?
Yeah, but no, but also for me, like that's probably a little bit easier. It's like I don't like being the center of attention, but I'm also not shy either. Like I'm
Yeah.
comfortable being on stage, but it's like you've got to turn it on because my thing is I'll be dang on if I have put myself through this and then I get on stage and act like this. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're gonna see all of this. So be whoever it is you need to be for that 30 to 45 seconds, and then you can go back to being your normal self.
Yeah.
Let's see, we'll do one more. I just saw it. It was a good question. What is better for growth? High rep count with less weight or less rep count with heavy weight? I think sometimes people get a little too hung up on this.
Time
I,
under tension is what matters.
that's what I was getting ready to say. If you aren't getting any tension, if you don't have any mind muscle connection, none of that's going to matter. Are you feeling it?
I saw a girl at the gym the other day who talked to me recently about like, I'm switching to wellness. I'm so excited, blah, blah, blah. And then the exercises that I saw her doing were very like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Mhm.
And my paper says 10, so I did 10 reps. That is not going to get you there. So what's going to be better is doing 8 reps that took you a minute and a half
Mhm.
rather than 15 reps that took you 45 seconds.
Slow it
Same
down.
weight or less weight or more weight, you need to put tension on the muscle.
That's it. So if there ain't no tension, you ain't doing nothing. We can do one more. Macros versus meal plan, which is better? Can both be effective in prep and off season? Yes, they can. You got to know thyself. Macros get demonized because people try to smuggle things in them,
If
okay?
you're doing IIFYM macros, it's a bad idea.
Bad idea. And I think also too where people go wrong with macros. Hi Martin, they feel that, oh, well, I can fit this in, it's still in my macros. But if you're changing your junk every single day, now you have no consistency. So if something mess with your stomach, you can't clock what it is because every single day you've had something different, right? So I've been doing macros for what, almost 5 years now. I check in, if my coach makes adjustments, I will adjust my meal plan. I eat the same exact thing until she makes adjustments. And when she makes adjustments, 9 times out of 10, it's because macros have gone down. So I'm just adjusting the numbers. That's it.
Yeah, and that's how most people follow a macro plan at a successful level. You're still eating the same types of foods. You might sub in your carb sources or your protein sources, do chicken versus turkey, but you're not going to Chick-fil-A calculating those macros and then starving the rest of the day, or like, oops, I went over because I had this, or like over 5 carbs and over 5 protein is fine. No, it's not.
It's
It's
not.
literally not.
Actually,
So if you're doing macros, you need to zero them out. And that's difficult to do if you're going meal by meal. And
I
if
don't know
you're
how girls do that.
they're not hitting zero.
In order,
They're giving themselves leeway. Because I used to do that when I did macros. That's what I started doing. And I would be like, I need 6.5. I remember when I ate like 6.5 strawberries,
weird, right?
like a quarter of a teaspoon of peanut butter, like the way that I was plugging crap in to get my numbers, I
Yeah.
was like, well, this is dumb. And then I went to a meal plan.
Yes. No, like plan it out. And I'll tell girls, like, the night before when you're in bed, go ahead and plug everything in because that's the only way you're going to have success. Otherwise, you're going to be playing Matro Tetris. And then I get it. If it's just not for you, just go to a meal plan. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. If you're not following either or, neither are going to work.
Yeah.
So if you follow it, it'll work. And if you don't follow it, they won't work. All right, that's it.
Yep, I gotta pee.
I got to pee too. All right, y'all. That's it. Thanks for listening. We will chat with you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.